Far north of Japan, a wider, quieter landscape begins beneath the morning sky. Sapporo is the gateway, but the wilderness already feels surprisingly close. The air feels cooler here, carrying the first quiet promise of autumn. At the heart of Sapporo, open space gives the northern city room to breathe. Even among towers, mountains remain visible beyond the edge of the streets. Hokkaido's landscape also arrives at the table, through produce gathered from land and sea. Simple ingredients tell the story of a region shaped by cold water and fertile fields. But the city is only the beginning. The coast waits less than an hour away. The railway follows Hokkaido west, where mountains begin to meet the Sea of Japan. Otaru greets her with hills, sea air, and echoes of an older port city. Brick warehouses remember the years when ships carried northern Hokkaido toward the world. Then the street opens onto still water, stone walls, and a line of quiet warehouses. Otaru moves at a different pace, measured by footsteps beside the water. Inside its old streets, fire and glass preserve another piece of the port's character. Small mechanical melodies drift through buildings that feel suspended between eras. Beyond the old city, the northern sea stretches toward a colder horizon. As the sun lowers, the canal begins exchanging daylight for the glow of lamps. The port becomes quieter after sunset, its reflections deeper than the streets above. The evening train carries her back east, toward a much larger journey tomorrow. Behind the city lights, the mountains wait for morning. Before sunrise, the railway begins carrying her toward the broad center of Hokkaido. City blocks fade into farms, rivers, and horizons that seem to grow wider. Asahikawa marks the threshold between settled plains and the mountains beyond. A smaller train carries her toward rolling country beneath the Daisetsuzan Mountains. Biei unfolds as a patchwork of fields shaped by hills, weather, and distance. Every curve reveals another composition, simple enough to feel almost unreal. Out here, even one tree can command an entire horizon. To reach the forests ahead, she continues by road through the open countryside. The farmland gives way to birch and pine as the road climbs toward volcanic country. A quiet path through the trees leads toward a color unlike the forest around it. Still water holds pale trees and blue light in an almost dreamlike silence. Even here, wind, minerals, light, and forest seem to paint together. The journey climbs higher, leaving farms behind for the great roof of Hokkaido. At the mountain base, the road ends, and the journey continues into the sky. With every meter, forest gives way to a colder and more exposed landscape. At the upper station, Hokkaido feels suddenly larger, rougher, and much quieter. Autumn arrives early in these mountains, spreading color across the volcanic slopes. The mountain still breathes through vents, hidden among rock and autumn grass. The last light touches the highest slopes before falling across the forest below. She descends as darkness fills the valleys, already moving toward the distant east. Day 3 begins on rails stretching toward one of Japan's most remote horizons. For hours, the landscape is measured not by buildings, but by rivers and trees.
At Abashiri, the railway finally meets the colder air of the northeastern coast.
The Sea of Okhotsk opens before her, vast, cool, and almost without interruption. The journey continues beside water, with mountains gathering on the eastern horizon.
Beyond the final stations, road becomes the only line leading deeper into the peninsula. Shiretoko appears not as a destination, but as a wall of forest and mountain. Water descends from the mountains almost directly toward the sea below. Inside the peninsula, the road narrows, and the forest begins closing around it.
A raised path enters the wilderness without asking the wilderness to move aside. Wildlife appears on its own terms, always at a distance. Beyond the trees, still water reflects mountains already touched by autumn. For a moment, mountain and forest seem to exist twice. Clouds move quickly here, changing the mountains without changing their silence. The wilderness is built from smaller things: moss, bark, cold water, and fallen leaves. By late afternoon, she follows the forest back toward the edge of the sea. The sun lowers over a coast that still feels beyond the reach of the city. Cold water catches the final light and carries it along the shore. As color leaves the sky, Shiretoko becomes darker, quieter, and more immense. The final journey begins in darkness, turning south toward lakes and open wetlands. Morning arrives through mist, hiding the landscape before slowly giving it back. The road crosses forests and open country beneath an enormous northern sky. Beyond the next ridge lies a lake, hidden inside a vast volcanic basin. When the mist opens, deep blue water appears far below the rim. No boats, no streets, only water, mountain air, and distance. Cloud shadows travel across the surface, changing blue into darker shades. From the crater rim, the road descends toward one of Japan's great wetlands. The mountains fall away, replaced by reeds, rivers, and an almost limitless horizon. A wooden path carries her quietly into a landscape shaped more by water than roads. The wind moves across the reeds like a wave passing through the land. Here again, wildlife belongs to the landscape, not to the visitor. A slow river curves through the reeds, carrying the sky deeper into the wetland. Even the railway seems small as it crosses a landscape this wide. For several minutes, there is almost nothing outside but grass, water, and sky. She leaves the train for one final view as the sun begins to fall. The entire marsh changes color beneath the last warm light of the north. The journey ends where land, water, and sky finally seem to become one.
4 days ago, she arrived through a city. Now, there is only wilderness.
Hokkaido is not empty. Its silence is filled with forests, mountains, water, and life. Hokkaido, Japan, Japan, where the road ends and the wild north begins.